Welcome back to yet another edition of the Fringe Radio Show for the 6th of September. I hope everybody had a great day today. Boy, talk about hot and humid. It's crazy here in Salt Lake today, but a beautiful sunny day, and for the first part of September, I guess, well, I can't say we can complain because we're still in summer, but remember years back of it changing and getting pretty cruddy right after the kids went back to school, but a beautiful day in Salt Lake City. Anyway, we'd like to say hello to all of our weeknight listeners. Of course, Fringe Radio is on from Monday through Friday from midnight till 2 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Saturday nights, we're here from 6 till 9. All right, our guest tonight, which I am honored to have on the show, is Chris Kehler. Chris is a biospiritual healer. Chris provides an alternative to mainstream Western practices, working intuitively with modalities such as dowsing, metaphysical tools, radionics, and quantum touch. He'll help out people with their health problems, and they can become a thing of the past. His website is chriskehler.net. Without any further delay, let's get Chris on the phone. Chris, good evening. Welcome to K-Talk in the Fringe Radio Show.
Hey, happy to be on.
Well, we're honored to have you here, Chris. How are you today?
Never better, thanks.
For being up late, you're up and energetic, and I must have walked 10 miles today at the Comic-Con here, and I was looking forward to getting here. I saw that you sent me some emails. Again, my apologies for not getting back. I started my day off around 6:30 a.m., and I am still rolling, but it was a great day today, and again, I'm honored to have you on the show and want to talk to you about a lot of different things.
Awesome, let's do it.
So why don't you give us a little bit of your background? I didn't I don't have your backstory, but what got you into what you do today, and how did you get where you are today?
Well, that's a good story, Pat. About 7 years ago, my first wife passed away, and at the time I was in the printing trade. I've been doing it for about 30 years, running large printing presses, working at the local newspaper in Winnipeg, where I live. And at the time she passed away, she had a rare disease called scleroderma. It's a form of rheumatoid arthritis. So at that time, my financial planner looked at me and says, "Chris, you've been working pretty hard all your life. Why don't you retire?" So I took his advice with no problem, and I quit working.
Okay.
The old story goes, you close one door, another door opens. So I started doing a little bit of research into the alternative health thing, and I met a few people that do this type of thing, and I really took an interest in it and started learning some really cool alternative ways of healing, and I just took the ball and ran with it, and I ended up where I am today. I've got my own office, my own clinic. I've got a full schedule every day. I've been treating people all over the world. I do this work on Skype, over the telephone. I've got clients in Australia, Germany, Norway, lots of people in the U.S. Looking for this type of work, and it's just been going crazy ever since. So
now, essentially, and again, my condolences about your wife passing away. Was that what kind of triggered things off for you? Was your did you feel that maybe you weren't quite the healthiest, or wanted to just look at things a little bit differently, look at some alternatives to medicine?
Well, it's more so this type of work I'm doing is basically the work I've been meant to do all my life, and everything. I realize now that everything I've done beforehand, all the different jobs I've had, and all my experiences had led me up to what I'm doing, and basically prepared me for it. So with my wife's passing, it wasn't so much, is there something I could have done differently, or could we have looked into something else? It was more so a doorway opening for me to go into this.
Gotcha. So, are you a doctor, or did you just start looking into different ways to seek cures?
No, I'm not by any means a doctor. Thank God for that. The doctors, God bless them. We need them for certain things. You certainly don't want me sewing up your insides after a car accident or something like that. But ultimately, this is just what I need to do with my life. The energy that I'm working with, the quantum energy that everybody has, I'm just able to develop ways to work with it and to make it work for you using pyramids and different sacred geometry to find a health problem and clear it out has been unbelievable, especially in the last 5 to 6 months.
So tell us, what is you called it quantum energy, or let's say quantum healing. How does this work? Why don't you give the listeners? I don't understand it. How does this work, and how does this come into play with everybody?
Well, we'll start off with the way I do my protocol. This is something I've basically developed myself. I took a few different courses in dowsing with a pendulum, and to get me started, and I did some quantum touch courses, which is kind of like Reiki. I took a course in radionics, which is working with frequencies. So I took basically all the good stuff from all these courses and developed my own system of locating a troubled area in the body. Let's say you got diabetes, okay? So I'll use my pendulum and I'll ask it questions like what stressor is within the pancreas. Because ultimately, everybody's body, we all have a health problem, okay?
Sure.
So if you take diabetes is a badge that the doctors give you to wear when you have these symptoms. Your blood sugars are very erratic. They don't want to stabilize. So what I do with my pendulum and the charts that I've developed to work with it, I find out why your blood sugars aren't going to stabilize. So that could be anything from a virus within your pancreas. It could be a parasite. Could be a mineral imbalance, which is very, very common. Could also be in the form of a spiritual attachment. I've been doing a lot of research into that, working with poltergeists and spirits within your body that are causing disruption. I go even as far as looking for aliens, different extraterrestrials that are causing a problem. And lately I've been working a lot on alien abduction within people causing really severe health problems. So once I find out exactly what it is, okay, normally it's going to be a spiritual problem like an ET or a spirit attachment, even voodoo and black magic. I've done a lot of research into that, what that's all about. So once I move those out, then I can find the physical problem, which is going to be the mineral imbalance or a virus or something like that. Once I find that, then I use a pyramid that I've developed, It's a 5-tier pyramid, and you can see pictures of it on my website. There's 5 pyramids all stacked up together, and that forms a certain sacred geometry. And when you look at the base of it, you can see the Star of David, which is a sacred geometry. So all I do is take this pyramid, hold it over your head, tell the virus to leave the pancreas, and through quantum mechanics and quantum physics, the frequency and the energy of that virus or the spirit attachment or whatever just disappears immediately.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, again, just to reiterate, my son is a type 1 diabetic. He was born with essentially his pancreas at 7 days. Just wasn't fully developed. He's on insulin. He has to take it. If he doesn't, he's going to be in real trouble. But again, I think there's, and again, I got a lot of questions for you, and we've actually had a lot of listeners email in a ton of questions. But maybe some of the things that some of these ailments that we have, again, about being open-minded about things, these are potential cures or reliefs for people that have some of these types of problems.
Absolutely. The amount of different health problems I've been working on is staggering, Pat. You know what? The humanity is just so fixated on getting a pill from the doctor or getting a diagnosis that means nothing. You have fibromyalgia, go home and live with it, okay? There's nothing we can do. I'm able to find the exact problem, move it out, and make a big difference in your life. Now, of course, it's not as simple as that. It takes 2, 3, maybe 4 treatments for certain things. If you came to me with full-blown MS or cerebral palsy, it's going to take quite a few treatments to get things working properly. I have had people come in with diabetes, 1 treatment, and it's gone, okay? Your blood sugar stabilized. I've had people come in with minor ailments and 1 or 2 treatments, and the problem is gone. So don't get me wrong, it's not a miracle. Sometimes it is, but for the most part, it does take a bit of work. But for ultimately with your son, yes, something can be done. It's a matter of getting out the sharp shovel, digging around, and finding out exactly what it is, and working with it and moving it out.
Very interesting. Now, do you use, as far as I'm looking through your website and some of the things I've dug into and read about it, you work with energy, with energy and healing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the whole energy concept, there's working with energy goes back thousands of years with things like Reiki and Qigong and lots of different modality types of energy, EFT, all different types of things. The whole universe is made up of energy. We are energy and light beings. So when you're able to understand, number one, and then number two, have the connections and the vibrational frequency in your body to actually change the vibrational frequency in a person, it's just that easy to do. We all have the capability to heal ourselves. Just a matter of understanding it and knowing how to work with it.
And not necessarily inducing medicines or drugs to do this.
That's right. Quite often it's all an energy problem. Sometimes you got to use a supplement. I also work in nutrition with certain minerals. And if you do research on some of the deficiency symptoms of certain minerals, you can really put together what your health problem really is. Now, quite often you have to look at also a mineral excess calcium and iron. Excess calcium in your cardiovascular system is a big problem, and the medical community is now just starting to realize that and starting to look at ways why is there so much calcium in our diets, and why is calcium building up, and that all leads to a mineral deficiency of, let's say, magnesium or silica, which helps calcium absorb into your body. So you really got to be open-minded when it comes to nutrition and energy as to what everything can really be.
I actually, a couple questions that our listeners emailed in. Sam is sending an email today. It said, question for Chris. It said, Sam, I am 54 years old, and I am suffering from severe leg and calf cramps. A lot of people would define that as a Charlie horse. Do not know what to do about this. The pain is so bad it feels like somebody is driving a hot knife through my calf. I eat bananas. I try to increase my potassium. I don't know why this is happening, but it is happening more and more frequently, almost on a nightly basis. The pain is so bad it affects me for the entire next day. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, of course I can't just make a diagnosis over the air like this, but something like that could very well be, if it's a burning pain. What I've found, it could be the herpes zoster shingles virus within your muscles. Okay, that's a possibility. It could be parasites built up within your muscles. If every doctor in the world had a live blood analysis microscope in their office, they would find 50% of all health problems in the world, okay? It could also be a mineral deficiency, mineral excess. You have to know which mineral. I mean, there's 98 different minerals. So you have to, when I use my pendulum, I can find all these things out within a 99% accuracy rate.
So how does the pendulum... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
How does the pendulum work? I mean, how does this system work?
Well, the pendulum is a medium for me connecting with my spirit guides. My spirit guides ultimately have the answers, and they give me the answers through the pendulum. Okay, it works if you can envision a Ouija board. Okay, so I've got a series of charts with a semicircle, and there's 25 different words on the chart, and I'll just hold my pendulum. I'll give it motion. I'll move it back and forth. My guides are going to point the pendulum at the right answer, okay? And my guides are very, very in tune with the work I'm doing. They know exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, and they just guide me to it. They tell me what to do.
So do you consider yourself, Chris, do you consider yourself a psychic too?
Well...
Or have psychic abilities, I should say?
Yeah, the word psychic, I think, is a little misused at times. There is psychic energies happening here. I mean, sure, if somebody gives me a health symptom, and I say, "Oh, you got hit on the head last week," and they go, "Yeah, how did you know that?" And I'm saying because it says, severe concussion. So, in a way, that is being a psychic, okay?
Right.
I also do medium work with the pendulum. I can talk to spirits that have crossed over and get accurate answers. So it is psychic medium work in its own way.
So did you, to me, this is to me, and I've had a lot of psychics and mediums and clairvoyants, different people on the show for quite some time. Is this a gift that, and I call it a gift, I know some people will say that we all have, when you talk to some psychics, and we'll just use that term for a general concept term, they'll say everybody has psychic abilities, it comes easier to some, not as easy to others, other people understand it, some do, some don't. Is this something that you experienced your whole life and maybe didn't know what it was, or like you said, you felt that this was something, what you do today led up to what you do today? It pointed everything, in your direction pointed in a direction for you to do what you do on a day-to-day basis and help people out. But do you feel that this was a gift or an ability, Chris, that you had for many years, maybe since a very young age?
Well, before I started getting into this, we all have an intuition, and you all of a sudden you're thinking of a song and you turn on the radio and there's a song. Okay, stuff like that has always happened with me. A lot of little coincidences, let's call them. They say there's no such thing as a coincidence, but let's call them little coincidences. But when I started looking into this, the more I did it, the more in tune I got with myself, and the more it started to develop. So it was a matter of practicing and developing it. It just wasn't there like a light switch turning on. I really had to work at it and develop it.
But did you feel that it came did you feel that it was there for a long time, though? Maybe from a young age?
I'm not going to say young age, but I remember when I was when I was working, when I was running my printing press, okay, and this is probably 20 some years ago. I was walking back to my press and I stopped dead in my tracks and I said to myself, there's something different going to happen with me. Something big is going to happen. And I just shook my head and started walking and went back to work. And this is what it was. I knew that this was going to happen. This is within my dharma. This is where my life path was going to take me.
Well, that's, yeah, and you answered your calling. I mean, I think that it's a great thing to follow your passion and follow your gift and your instincts. So many of us, we get caught in that rut, Chris, of going to work every day, and as I'm sure you probably did too for many years. You go to work every day, you get the paycheck, you get paid, you pay your bills, but sometimes there is a calling for people, and you got to go with your gut feel. And it sounds like this is something that you went with, and it's worked out.
That's exactly right. I discovered the work. And as I did more of it, I found more different ways of doing it. I found this tool maker in Alberta, Canada, who develops these tools and makes these tools. He is probably the highest person in energy on the planet. Gotta be. The work that this guy does is phenomenal. The tools that he makes, you actually feel the energy moving in your body the minute we use these tools on you. This stuff is incredible, Pat.
So what type of things does he make?
We do pyramids.
Okay.
He makes a triple pyramid that when you look at the base, you see the Star of David. One of the biggest tools he makes that I actually sell on my website and within my clinic, it's called a neutralization ring. And it's a 7-inch ring, and it's got all these tines on the inside, point inwards. And when you stand over this ring, you can actually feel the energy pulling out of your body into the ground. It feels like it's trying to pull your body into the ground, like a grounding effect almost. And what this is doing is pulling all the negative energy out of your body that you absorb on a daily basis from watching the news, driving your car, people that you work with that rub you the wrong way, and that type of thing. So that tool itself is extremely popular. There's also another tool called the Sun Ring, and it's the same ring, but the tines point outside. Now it's not the heat of the sun, it's the energy of the sun. So what this does is it adds energy to your body, adds energy to your food, and that type of thing. He's also got a few other tools that are could be considered like a wand. It's a 5-inch copper pipe with the frequency of noble gases within it. And when you hold that tool, you give it intent. You tell it to do something, to remove a pain, to add energy or something, it goes in and does it. So those are the basic tools that he's got. And there's quite a few others that are based around those simple forms.
Gotcha. One of our listeners, a question they had for you, Chris, is what do you think about things like crystals and skulls, wand points? How do you address those things? What do you think of that?
Well, crystals. I mean, crystals. They all have a specific energy purpose. Within my pyramid, I use clear quartz crystals, which are all-encompassing healing crystal. Now, at the top of my pyramid, I've got a crystal. It's made of shungite. Shungite is from Russia. There's only one place in the world you can find this stone, and there's a city in Russia where they mine this stuff, and they actually make pyramids and spheres and all types of things. This stone is very powerful and it has a lot of possibilities. Now, as far as skulls and stuff like that, well, you have to look at everything as a sacred geometry. A shape has a certain energy, so a skull in its own right is going to have some type of energy. I haven't worked with skulls at all. I know what the person is talking about. So that in itself is going to have a specific type of energy.
Gotcha. Another question a listener wrote in a little bit ago, Charles, his name, says, Chris, what is the best way to detox and just feel better? I'm tired of not feeling 100% lately. I'm 46 years old.
There's quite a few different methods of detoxing. Now, ultimately, it depends on what you need to detox from. Do you need a heavy metal detox? Do you need just a general, like a candida detox? There's so many different ways.
Right.
What I find is really good and all-encompassing is a foot bath detox. Okay, I do them in my clinic, and there's lots of places all over the United States and Canada and all over the world that do these things. These are going to pull out things like fluoride out of your body. They're going to pull yeast and funguses. They're going to clean your liver out. They're going to clean your gallbladder out. These things just work at the cellular level, and they pull all the gunk. You look in the water when you're done one of these things after half an hour, and it looks like soup, like gunky, ugly soup. So these things work great for pulling out heavy metals, all different types of things.
So how does that work, Chris? I mean, I was looking at and I was going to ask you about that process on your website. Is it a practice of you have your patients where people they relax? I mean, how does that get into the water? I mean, how does that process work?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough concept to get your head around. You put your feet in the water, and all of a sudden it's full of gunk. The way it works, okay, you've got this controller that sends out positive and negative ions. That's the electrical charge in your body. So there's a mechanism inside the water. There's actually electricity. There's about 2 amps and 11 volts of electricity in the water, and it's alternating the ions. So what's happening is your feet are in the water. The ions are changing their polarity back and forth. You consider, let's say, your liver is charged negatively with ions, okay? And the toxin is positively charged. Now you've got like a magnet, okay? So when you start changing the polarity in your body, now the toxins reverse their polarity and they repel from let's say, from the liver, and then these toxins are going to go into your bloodstream to eliminate out of your body. As the blood pumps through your body, goes to your feet. Because your feet are in like a magnet with the electricity, the toxins just get pulled out through the pores of your feet.
And people, I mean, after they go through this process, I would assume that, again, in looking at the photo of it, when you go through this, obviously, if that's been secreted, I would assume that it maybe is it secreted through the pores of the feet?
Yeah, it comes out the pores of the feet. Now, the pores on your feet are the biggest pores in your body. Let's say, well, what if I got no feet pad? Okay, if you put your hands in there, it's going to work. Okay, what if I'm a paraplegic? I got no arms and no legs. You can go in a bathtub, lay in a bathtub, and put one of these mechanisms in. You're going to have a mess to clean up in the bathtub later, but it'll still work. It's going to pull the toxins out of anywhere in your body that is within the water.
Gotcha. Now, again, these are some general questions that listeners sent in, and I know that, without a one-on-one consultation, but just to get some answers, Jerry wrote in and said, Chris, I've been trying to lose weight for years. I've tried every diet on the planet, changed my way of eating. Now I'm 52 years of age, way overweight. Doing simple things is hard, and I just don't feel well, and simple things are a struggle. What do you suggest for someone who has been overweight for many, many years at midlife and trying to lose weight and feel better?
Good question. I've been doing a lot of research on the whole weight loss phenomena. I do carry a product called Ideal Protein in my clinic for people who want to lose weight that way. It's a very good method. But ultimately, okay, let's take a person who's, let's say, 300 pounds, and they eat really healthy every day. They exercise somewhat, and they might lose a couple pounds here and there, and then all of a sudden they put it back on. They just can't seem to lose weight. It just doesn't want to budge. There's a lot of people in this boat. Some people can lose weight no problem, and it's all fine and dandy. But for these people who have a real struggle with it, there's a lot of different factors to look at. So you have to look at the endocrine system. Our bodies are hormone driven. So if your hormones are way out of balance, your body isn't going to operate properly. So now certain hormones that help with weight loss or processing sugars and all that type of thing, everything is going to stop dead. Okay. So when there's a hormone problem, that means there's a mineral problem for the most part. A lot of people are deficient in a mineral called chromium. Okay, if you do some research on chromium, you'll look at different deficiency symptoms. One of them is going to be obesity. Another one's going to be Jekyll and Hyde type personality, where your person is fine one minute, all of a sudden you're in a rage the next minute. There's a lot of different symptoms that you can check off and see if you're chromium deficient. There's also a few other minerals involved that could be. If your body is creating too much insulin, your body is going to store a lot of the sugars that are within your body. So you might have to look at sulfur deficiency. There's a lot of different things. Now, along with that, there probably is going to be some kind of spiritual attachment causing your body to be in dysfunction and not work properly to eliminate weight. So when your body feels it's under stress or there's something wrong, it's an instinctual mode to hold on to calories in case you need them if you're really sick and you can't eat.
Right, because I mean, again, I know so many people, and in my own case, I've had a weight problem my whole life, and I've held it off and put it on and held it off and put it on, and a lot of times people who are thin or who don't have a weight problem will say, well, it's the old overactive fork. And what I really notice is that a lot of people that have weight problems, they don't eat 20 cheeseburgers a day or drink 5 milkshakes. Most of them tend to eat very little food, is what I notice. Maybe sometimes at the wrong time of the day, and again, that could be stress-related. Who knows? But people with weight issues, so many times it's something that it's almost like it's out of their control. And again, they're not that they're pigging out all the time. They're just trying to live a normal life and eat normal foods. Chris, we got to take a quick break here to pay the light bill. Our guest tonight is Chris Kehler. His website is chriskehler.net. Go check it out. We're going to be talking about foods and other things. We're honored to have him on the show. We'll be back with Chris in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to the Fringe Radio Show on K-Talk, AM 630 in Salt Lake City. We're live on the Inception Radio Network. We'll be right back with Chris.
Hey, this is Dan the Phone Man from PC Laptops. It's here, the new Samsung Galaxy S4 smartphone, and we have them in stock. Did you know PC Laptops is the only place in Utah where you can buy a new desktop or laptop computer and get a free Samsung Galaxy S4 with a new 2-year contract? That's right. You'll get a brand new Samsung Galaxy S4 when you purchase any new PC Laptops computer for free. Oh, yeah, and we'll make it extra fluffy with 0 down, 0 interest for a year. OAC. Get into any PC Laptops location right now before they're all gone. Call us at 1-877-596-SAVE or check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. PC Laptops, we love you. PC Laptops, your Verizon authorized wireless retailer. We love you. New 2-year activation required per phone. Upgrade, early termination, other fees may apply. Come get your free phone at PCLaptops.com.
The Legal Corner is brought to you by the law offices of Jennings and Madura, dedicated to integrity and professionalism. At the center of every family law matter is a family. We understand that. That's why our practice is solely devoted to family law. We understand the complicated and sensitive nature of divorce and its associated issues. We will work with you to protect your rights and provide workable solutions while always keeping in mind your family's best interests. As part of that process, you can rest assured you will always have the final say on how we proceed. Let us serve you. Call 801-883-8325. That's 801-883-8325. Or online at JenningsandMadura.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Fringe Radio Show. Tonight our guest is Chris Kehler. Again, Chris, thank you so much for staying up late and being here tonight, sharing your work with us.
My pleasure.
So we were talking just before the break, again, about people that have weight issues who are just trying to live a normal life. And making those changes can sometimes, well, I shouldn't say making the changes aren't hard, but I mean, a lot of times they're not overeating. They're trying to eat healthy, but yet they still deal with the problem of the weight gain.
Yeah, and once again, Pat, that's body not functioning properly. Let's take your thyroid and pancreas. The thyroid, that's your metabolism for the most part. If that's not working properly, your body is not going to metabolize food properly. If you haven't got the enzymes in your food, if you're eating a lot of off-the-shelf products with like dead food and no enzymes, there's another problem. There's so many different components that can be part of the whole weight gain, weight loss issue, that everybody's different. You know, there's no one magic pill for everybody. Everybody, just like a health problem. Take 10 people with diabetes, they can have it for 10 different reasons. 10 people with a weight problem, they can have it for 10 different reasons.
Exactly, and it's just trying to pinpoint some of these things down. What do you think about now? When I looked up, just trying to learn about you, Chris, talk about holistic medicine or holistic. How do you define holistic medicine?
I use the word holistic as a term that people can identify with. When you use, quantum energy therapist and all these different terms that you could use, I wanted to pick something that people could relate to. So when you say the word holistic, you think of natural types of things and like that. So working with energy is natural. We are energy and light beings, so we're working naturally with the energy in our body.
Gotcha. Do you do you believe in people? We get a lot of questions. Of course, a lot of people send in questions. I'm just kind of summarizing them up. What do you think about people who are vegetarians versus meat eaters, and your take on health foods? Now, I mean that's the one thing that's kind of scary, and you don't need to be a doctor by any means when you look at some of these canned products. It's pretty scary. I mean, when you turn that label around, and if you can't pronounce half of those things, maybe you should stay away from them.
Yeah, you know what? You do have to educate yourself on exactly what you're putting in your body. It's your body. It's your temple. You got to live with it the rest of your life. Might as well do it healthy. Now, when you talk about being vegetarian or a strict vegan, there are pros and cons. Okay, I understand why people want to do it. I mean, there's a lot of people who feel that animals are killed inhumanely, and there's hormones and all these antibiotics that are put into the meat, and then they got their different reasons. I respect that. But what happens when you do eat a vegetarian diet is that because you're not eating certain meats, your body is going to lack the mineral copper. Okay, the significance of that is that now if you haven't got enough copper in your body, the iron in your body doesn't have the component to absorb into your red blood cells. So now you become iron deficient. So you go to the doctor and you get tested and he says, oh, your iron is low, take iron. So you start taking iron. And, that is because you're overloading iron. Now you are absorbing some more, but you're still iron deficient in a certain way. Now what's all that extra iron doing that you're taking? It's going to build up in your muscles. It's going to build up in your nervous system, in your brain, and it's going to cause a health problem. So you really have to be careful when you're doing something that's, I'm going to call it, a little erratic, is going to a vegan diet, because it's something completely different than a balanced diet. That what are you doing to your body? Okay, you have to be educated to know that a copper deficiency can cause other problems. Now, when your copper goes out of balance, if your copper is low, all of a sudden your zinc is going to rise way up. Now you've got a copper-zinc imbalance. That can cause a number of health problems, as long as, like 40 feet of health problems, okay? It's something that really has to be looked at when you're doing that type of thing.
Well, and I think that's the other thing too, Chris, and I'm sure you come across it a lot, is where people make these changes, these radical changes in their eating habits. Again, I had a friend of mine who had a weight problem. He said, okay, no more meat, nothing. That's it. I'm done. No more pork, no more beef, no more nothing. And just went to a vegetarian diet. And while he lost a ton of weight, he did lose quite a bit of weight. But the guy just constantly, even to this day, he's kept the weight off, but you can tell there's no energy. He's got that kind of pasty look about him. He just doesn't look healthy. And I think myself, he's a vegetarian, but probably has to work with somebody and make sure he's eating the right foods. You can only eat so much salad. I mean, you need to introduce proteins and all these other things. And I think a lot of people just get hung up in that they make a radical change, and maybe sometimes a radical change isn't needed. A slight adjustment here and there is needed, and that'll fix things.
That's right. You know what? Everything in balance, everything in moderation. Your body needs fats. You need the good omega-3 oils. You need the good fats, animal fats in your body for different things. You know, there's a list of deficiency symptoms of omega-3 deficiency. You know, a lot of people, you know, your doctor says don't eat salt. You're going to have high blood pressure. Well, you know what? He's right. But your body needs salt. You need a good sea salt. So a lot of people give up salt. All of a sudden, their potassium goes out of whack. The potassium-sodium balance is very important. Now you got heart palpitations, you got cramping, you got all kinds of things going on. So everything has to be done in moderation. Everything that's in front of you on the food group table, you need some of everything.
Right. And kind of have a balanced diet. We were talking, or you were talking a little bit about, we first started here, Chris, talking a little bit about spiritual things. Let's call it paranormal. Let's maybe call it interdimensional, extraterrestrial. Have you found through your work that sometimes people may be having some sort of a health problem, and I think you're going to answer this with yes, but maybe we could get some more details, and people need to consider these things, where it is something that has nothing to do with our physical body, maybe even has nothing to do with our mental health, unless we're depressed or we maybe let our guard down a little bit, but we're spiritual influences or things outside our body or maybe outside our dimension or world are affecting our bodies.
Well, you just opened a really big door there, Pat. What spirits can do to our bodies is unbelievable, okay? I'm going to say probably anybody who's got a chronic health problem, MS, cerebral palsy, ALS, anything like that, anything huge like that, there is some type of spiritual attachment, okay, with either a poltergeist or some type of spirit that hasn't crossed over, gets in your body, causes disruption. Extraterrestrial activity is huge. It's becoming less and less because a lot of the ETs are getting cleared out, okay, from the Earth grid because the whole fifth dimension is coming in, so that's happening. But ultimately, probably 99.9% of everybody who comes to my office, the first thing I do is remove all spiritual attachments. And that can be demonic. It could be the devil in there, and there's very different forms of the devil. Many different ETs that are involved that I'm discovering still. You know, every day I almost discover a new one that's come into the dimension. But ultimately, spirits, poltergeists. Now, the big one that everybody's heard about and everybody knows about, but nobody realizes exactly what it is voodoo and black magic. Okay? That is huge in a lot of different cultures, and 25% of the people I work with, they have a voodoo spell on them.
I mean, so how do you determine that, though?
The pendulum tells me.
Really?
Yeah. And I did a lot of research into exactly what voodoo and black magic is. So it can be as simple as a negative thought. If you're thinking negatively about somebody, let's say somebody's jealous of you because you got a great radio show and you've got a nice car and this and that, and somebody's jealous of you, and they keep on thinking about that, all of a sudden it's going to affect you because thoughts are energy. It's a thought about you. It's going to go into your body, into your subconscious, and it's going to begin to cause a health problem. Okay? If it's a higher form of voodoo or black magic, now I worked on somebody in Florida who had such a strong voodoo spell on her. It took 3 months to get rid of it. And the person who was giving her the spell, she knew the person. The person actually lived with her, and she dated this person's son. So anybody who dated this person's son got sick, and they lost their jobs. All kinds of bad stuff happened. This lady who was doing the voodoo, she had 14 kids from 14 different men. She used 3 of the babies for sacrifices, and she would openly do voodoo on people. So I had to actually knock her power down by working on the person who was doing it in order to save the other person from dying.
Very interesting. Paranormal, do you feel that, well, again, you did mention poltergeists, but do you believe that maybe and I've never even looked into this realm or anything, but sorcery or witchcraft, and maybe that all ties into the voodoo realm. But maybe people that play with demonic things. I mean, we hear about that all the time. At least in the paranormal realm, it seems that people experiment with things. I know I've interviewed a lot of paranormal researchers. There's a lot of them that will say a Ouija board is a tool. Others will say stay away. Do you believe that people can open doorways or open dimensions and introduce something unintentionally, and it's just there?
Yeah, we do it every day and don't even notice it. We have all heard about the secret, the law of attraction, right? Manifestation of whatever you want or need. You can manifest good, you can manifest bad. We do it every day without even thinking of it. Every minute we do it. Opening dimensions. I could just will a vortex to open in front of me. Okay, so now I got this big vortex in front of me. What do I do with it? I close it up because I don't want it to get out of control. So you can actually envision a ball of energy in your hand, and you can feel your hand get hot. All these different things can happen just by thinking about them and manifesting. You talk about manifestation. If somebody wrote a book, a book about the devil and all of its attributes and all its bad stuff and everything, the whole workings of the devil, and it became a bestseller, and everybody read this book, everything in that book would manifest. It would begin to happen. It would start to happen, actually.
How do you stop it, Chris?
That's a tough one because things are always getting manifested every day. So when somebody's in my office with a certain type of infection or problem that's demonic, just by simply removing it takes care of the issue. But that person can bring it back in. If you're looking at the internet on websites that you should not be looking at, you're going to be bringing in that energy that is being transmitted through the website.
Especially ones that, again, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for, every now and then I do read or hear about someone that maybe has had a bad run of luck for a long time, and they look toward the dark side. They look at dark things, and maybe initially those dark things look very appealing and attractive, but then it's kind of the old there's a price to pay for everything, and then they want rid of it. And I've read about it and heard stories about it where people, they want women, they want wealth, they want whatever, and some people, I guess, are willing to sell their soul, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's a type of voodoo curse, almost a black magic curse. If you look at the work I do, that's white magic. So of course there's black magic. So you could take the same pyramid I have and use it for something bad. Now, if you talk about people selling their soul, if you do some research and look and see how many rock and roll stars died at the age of 27, there's a lot of them. And it's called the curse of 27. So all these people, they want to be rich and famous rock and roll stars. They want to make it big in the music industry. They sold their soul to die at 27.
Hey, Chris, we got to take an NBC news break. You want to stick around and we'll talk a little more after the news?
I'd love to.
Okay, our guest tonight is Chris Kehler. His website is chriskehler.net, Chris, Kehler.net. Go check it out. It's about being open-minded, everybody. We'll be back with Chris in a little bit. You're listening to K-Talk, KTKK AM 630 in Salt Lake City. We'll be back on the other side of the NBC News.
You see and hear ad after ad about owning gold, but they raise more questions than they answer. That's why American Bullion has created a comprehensive free gold guide packed with unbiased information about gold as an investment. Get the facts before you buy. Call American Bullion now for your free copy of the gold guide at 800-716-6878. That's 800-716-6878. Are you tired of stressing out about the economy and ready to take control of your retirement funds? American Bullion has a precise, tax-free, and hassle-free system to convert your existing IRA or former 401k into a gold IRA. That's why they're the leader in gold IRA rollovers. It's all spelled out in the free American Bullion Gold Guide that answers all of your questions in plain and simple English. Call for your free copy today at 800-716-6878. 800-716-6878. American Bullion. 800-716-6878.
the Fringe Radio Show for Part 2 for the 6th of September. Our guest tonight is Chris Kehler. We'll be back with Chris in just a few minutes. We'd like to say good evening to all of our listeners. Of course, Fringe Radio is here every Monday through Friday from midnight till 2 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Saturday nights, we're here from 6 till 9 p.m. The Fringe Radio Show covers anything related to ghosts, paranormal, conspiracies, UFOs, alien and alien abductions, science and science fiction, Bigfoot, afterlife, near-death experiences, historical events, and conspiracies. Anything shrouded in a little bit of mystery. You can find Fringe Radio on the World Wide Web at www.thefringeradioshow.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter as well. If you have a story, an experience, or a sighting and you'd like to come on the show, send us a contact, or go to the contact page, send us some info, and we'll get back to you. This past, just digress or talk a little bit in detail before we get back to Chris, had the opportunity again to be at the Salt Lake City Comic-Con. The Comic-Con is the Salt Lake City one, of course. This is the first annual one, and after today's turnout and what they're going to have this weekend, I'm sure we're going to see many Comic-Cons to come here in Salt Lake City. But if you're into science fiction or old comic books or all the old comic book characters, think about all the different movies we have. You know, Iron Man and the Avengers and Captain America and Superman and Spider-Man and just everything. It all started out years ago in comic book format and was brought to maybe animated type series, and then movies, and now the movies of today, like Iron Man, all the Iron Man movies and the Avenger movies. They're just so enjoyable to watch. It's the 5th through the 7th at the Salt Palace downtown. I would suggest if you want to go and be a part of this great event, order your tickets online. I wouldn't stand in line for the tickets. We were there today. We have a booth called Paranormal Unity. A lot of the paranormal research groups up and down the Wasatch Front asked us to join them, and we're going to be there. We were there all day today. We'll be there tomorrow and Saturday, and we're just having a great time. Stop by and see us if you're in the area. We met a lot of listeners today, and hopefully some of the people that are listening tonight were from Comic-Con. We met so many new friends today and handed out a lot of cards and shook a lot of hands and talked to people. And, Fringe Radio, of course, is about being open-minded. That's why we have people like Chris on the show here tonight. So many different great guests and researchers, and listen to Chris's story. And, I think so many of us, we need to think out of the box a little bit and listen to the things that Chris talks about and the successes that he has had. And think about it and incorporate it in our everyday lives. There's a lot of stars, of course, and celebrities at Comic-Con. Today we had the opportunity to meet Dirk Benedict from Battlestar Galactica and the A-Team. We had Dirk on the show just 2 weeks ago. We met him in person today. Dwight Schultz dropped a card with him, and he said he would be more than happy to grant us an interview. Met Lou Ferrigno, the original Incredible Hulk, and Richard Hatch, talked with him for a few minutes in the hallway. Just an amazing amount of celebrities out there. The big ones are yet to come, though. Of course, Adam West and Burt Ward, the original Batman and Robin, will be there tomorrow, I believe, and Saturday. Stan Lee, the creator of so many of these great comics, the DC comics, Marvel, I take that back, all the Marvel comics, Spider-Man and Iron Man and Submariner and the Hulk and all these great characters that have been around for so many years. Stan is the originator and creator of it, and he will be there tomorrow night as well. And then, of course, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, is going to be in town. So go check it out, the Salt Lake City Comic-Con downtown at the Salt Palace. It's going to be it is an awesome event, and you should check it out and get caught up in the frenzy of it. All right, our guest tonight is Chris Kehler. His website is chriskehler.net. That's Chris, KEHLER.net. Chris, again, we're honored to have you on the show, and thank you for staying up so late and being with us and sharing your work.
It's certainly my pleasure.
So we were talking before the break. What were we talking about before the break? About, again, people that we talked about demonic spirits and people wishing for what they want and getting it, and then maybe regretting getting it, and then rock stars living to the age of 27, and then we had to go to the news. You want to pick back up there again?
Sure. Ultimately, let's talk about the law of attraction. I call it the law of intent, because you intend for something to happen. A lot of people call it the secret. You want something, you think about it enough, you look at it in a magazine, you paste it to your fridge, it'll happen. Now, with the law of attraction, what I found, the way I look at the law of attraction as one of our auric bodies. It's something within us that we can use to manifest, okay? So now what if your law of attraction isn't working properly? What if it's working backwards, so that if you want, let's say, good health, you get bad health? Okay, let's say you want a really nice house, you get a rundown shack. You want a really good job, you end up being an ice cream salesman on 5th Street or something like that. So what I do is I go look into your law of attraction to see what's in there, and quite often, yes, there's some kind of spiritual attachment, some kind of extraterrestrial attachment. It could be, the polarity of it could be reversed, so now it's working backwards. So I go into this body, do the clearings, and reset a few different, there's about 3 different bodies included in the law of attraction matrix. You got to make sure that everything is in line and hooked up properly and firing on all 8 cylinders and that type of thing for it to be working for you, so that when you do want to manifest something, it's a lot easier. Of course, you're not going to wish for $1 million and you turn around, there's $1 million next to you. It helps to put things into perspective so that things can line up to help you get to what you want.
Well, I think if you can make that $1 million thing work, Chris, I'll subscribe and pay you any amount you want.
Well, there's an old saying: be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Okay. So what I tell people to do. Okay. So everybody wants money, of course. Give me a break. So what I do, I don't ask for money. I ask for what's going to bring me money. So what I do is I put within my law of intent for people to look at my website, to research my work, to call me and talk to me and do my work with me, because the more people I work with, the more money I make. I got lots of products I develop radionically, different bracelets for sleep, stress, and different types of things. What I do is I intend for people to research that and to be gravitated to my website to look at those types of things. So if you put things in perspective and you keep the greed component out of it, things will happen a lot better for you.
Very, very true. You have a lot of different products, and I was looking at your website and kind of going through it, and just found so much of it interesting. Do you also do you have a nutrition line that you offer, or work with another company? I believe it's Ideal Proteins was the name of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Ideal Protein is a weight loss protocol that I use, and basically the only people that can benefit from that are people within my city. I live in Winnipeg, Canada, by the way.
Okay.
So that is one thing I work with. And Ideal Protein is North America wide. You can research it and find that product in a lot of different places. It's a very good product. The health component on it is very high. I've got people on that product who come in and their blood pressure is really high. They're on medication and their sugars are really high. They're on metformin and that type of thing. And 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, everything is stabilized just by taking the starches and sugars out of your diet. So it is a very good diet.
Well, now can people here? But just to clarify, people here in the United States, they can buy that as well.
Oh yeah, you can find it in the States. It's everywhere. Just do a search on Ideal Protein on the internet, and you'll find it.
Very, very good. Something that you endorse, and it has helped a lot of people out.
Absolutely.
Now, radionics. Looking at that on your website, and we talked about that just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Of course, radionics is the use of frequency. All living things vibrate. You want to give us a little backstory on your thoughts on this and how you use this?
Yeah, radionics is how I got started in the whole energy thing. I started off doing muscle testing for herbs and supplements, right? Everybody knows what muscle testing is. You put your arm out and hold on to a herb and you push on your arm. If it goes weak, that means your body doesn't need it and that type of thing. That's how I got started. Then I got into radionics, which is working with energy. What radionics is, everything vibrates at a specific frequency, okay? So let's say you've got a pen in front of you, and there's rubber in that pen, there's plastic, there's ink. That all has its own different vibrational frequency. So by separating the vibrational frequencies from something, now, and how that would work for a health problem, okay, now your liver has a certain vibrational rate. It's a vibrational rate of liver, okay? And a virus has a specific vibrational rate. So when you take, let's say you test a person, they've got virus A in their liver. So you take the vibrational rate of virus A and a little vial of water that you have, you put it in the machine next to the liver, and you turn the machine on. That vibrational rate of virus A is going to vibrate out of the liver, just the same way an opera singer sings at a frequency and shatters a wine glass, okay? So that's the way radionics works with getting rid of a health problem. What I use radionics for is charging wristbands, okay? Everybody's seen the balance band on store shelves and on the internet. A lot of athletes wear them, and they help to balance your body and give you a bit more vitality. So what I do with these different types of wristbands like that is I put it in my radionic device, and I put a specific frequency within the wristband, okay? So the one that works really good is for sleep. So if you have a problem sleeping at night, let's say you go to bed, you fall asleep, you wake up and you just can't fall asleep again every night, and you wake up and you're really tired, you wear one of these wristbands, and there's a 90% that this is going to help you sleep throughout the night, okay? I've also got one for stress. If you have a lot of anxiety and stress in your life, this helps to resolve the stress. It takes the edge off, okay? So with a wristband, I'm doing things with weight loss, and I can actually use a wristband as a homeopathic remedy. So somebody, let's say, needs vitamin C. I can put the frequency of vitamin C in the wristband. You wear the wristband, you get vitamin C.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting approach. That's for sure. That's something I've never heard of before. But
it is really interesting, and you discover new things every day that you can do with these machines and gizmos, and you know what? It sure makes the day go by really quick when you got a lot of stuff to play with. I got lots of toys.
I can see that. Do you do a lot of experimenting, Chris? I mean, not necessarily on people, but maybe on symptoms and stuff like that. I mean, do you, again, you're this lifestyle, that you live, or that you help people live, and that meaning that, helping them with problems. It probably has to be a little experimental. You probably experiment. I would assume you experiment on a lot of things, find byproducts, and probably come up with a lot of new remedies and new ideas and things to try out.
Well, I do lots of experimenting. Right now, I'm trying to develop a wristband. When you wear it, it'll keep mosquitoes away. Okay, there's my $1 million. There's my manifestation right there. I live in Winnipeg, north in Canada, and there's lots of mosquitoes. So ultimately, you find the one thing that works, and you improve on it. My spirit guides right now, when I'm asked, I all I do is ask a question, and they will give me the answer. They will research it for me. They'll go into God's library, into the Akashic records, and all these places. They'll find the information. They'll go to different dimensions and different universes and find the answer there, and they'll bring it to me, and they'll spell it out. Lately, a lot of things I've been doing. When you combine certain energies, like when you're working with spiritual energy, a lot of people work with things like violet flame and diamond flame and blue flame. They all have their specific energy and purpose. When you combine two things, like let's say violet flame and gold light, now you've created something more powerful with a specific purpose. So when you put those energies into a wristband, when somebody wears that wristband, it's going to remove all the entities in their body, it's going to remove all demonic in their body, and it's going to just clean all of that garbage of an entity out of your body. So the research is always ongoing. Once you stop learning, you might as well close your shop.
That's true, very true. Joy wrote in and said, could you talk to Chris and see could you ask Chris what he feels about colloidal silver in metals?
Yes, good question. Okay. The word here is colloidal. Okay, so what is colloidal? The minerals that I use are ionic, which means it's an angstrom mineral. Okay, so that means the molecule of an angstrom mineral is smaller than the cells in your body. A colloidal atom is bigger than your cells, so a colloidal can actually plug up your cells. A lot of people make their own colloidal silver. Be careful. If all of a sudden your skin starts to turn blue, you got too much silver in your body, you've got silver toxicity. Silver is really good as an antibacterial. The guys on the International Space Station, their underwear is made from silver. Okay,
yeah, didn't know that.
Exactly. Yeah, if you go look at a box of Band-Aids, you're going to see that it's got silver within the gauze. So silver is antibacterial. If you got a bacterial infection on your skin, you can buy silver gel. You can put that on your skin. If you got you got constant diarrhea, drink some silver. It's going to kill the bacteria.
Well, now and that's something I wanted to ask you is as far as manufacturing this. And I know that there was, I've had different medical people on the show, and of course it always goes back to, I think, in probably what you were talking about as far as this stuff being harmful or taking it in mass quantities. I think it was the guy on Oprah Winfrey, that the blue man or whatever that came on, or the purple man. But then when you dug into it, you found out, he was abusing this stuff. But do you believe in purchasing this pre-made? And I understand that you can also make it yourself. They sell machines and stuff like that, or products that you can actually manufacture this yourself.
You can manufacture it yourself, but you know what? The cost of it really isn't that expensive. So why not leave the manufacturing of this stuff to the professionals who know what they're doing? And you can just buy what you need. You're not going to be able to, you're going to make way too much if you buy something to make it with. And if you think you're going to sell it and make money, you're not going to do that, because it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So I would just, I sell it myself. I do carry my own label, and there is products on the internet. Just do a search on liquid silver, and you'll find 100 different places to buy it from.
And, I understand, too, we've had some different medical professionals on. And, again, when you start, and I'm sure you hear, or I would assume, Chris, that you hear this, is that there's a lot of people in the medical community. I think doctors are great. I really do. We could go into the whole conversation of vaccines and antibiotics and so many other things. And, boy, it can sway so much one way and so much the other. And I believe that, doctors are good, and if you've got problems, they can definitely help. But then there's a lot of people that also believe, and I myself believe in some cases, that like vaccines, I'll be honest with you, I'm not one for the flu shot. I had a flu vaccine or a flu shot several years ago, and boy, it made me sicker than a dog 2 days after. And just common sense for me, I will never take one of those again. I just won't. I don't want to get sick like I did. But again, my understanding is that there are a lot of medical professionals that are looking at silver now, and they're using that. Even some hospitals are practicing the use of it in the emergency rooms on severe burns, and it's just it's producing some miraculous healing.
Yeah, let's talk about vaccinations for a second. If you've got a young child, you vaccinate. That child has a chance of getting cerebral palsy or something. There's thimerosal mercury within that vaccine. There's other things that we don't even know about. That gets in your brain, and your lights out for the rest of your life. I got remarried about 3 years ago, and my wife and I had a baby. He's 2 years old now, and we talked about vaccinations. My wife now comes from the medical profession, and I'm in the alternative profession. So we had a conversation about vaccines. Do we vaccinate? And she's like, well, yeah, shouldn't we? I said, no. I showed her some information on the internet. She immediately said, okay, we're not vaccinating. So the information is out there. Okay, you do not have to vaccinate. If you just practice some simple, easy to do preventative measures, for your children, for yourself, you don't have to worry about getting sick. And it's all just a fear factor anyway to sell these vaccinations. Doctors are starting to really get on the bandwagon of doing things with natural products. Silver. You know what? The latest one for cancer is platinum, liquid platinum. They're putting platinum in chemotherapy drugs now. Back in Germany, when they're doing breast screening, they would inject platinum into the breast to expose tumors and that type of thing. And it was working when they wanted to see where it was. But what they found is that the tumors are going away. That's interesting. So platinum is being used now in chemotherapy. So they're starting to come around a little bit, and that's really good. That's good to see.
It is definitely. And again, there's so many different theories out there, and there's so many different opinions. But myself, of course, I believe that big pharmaceutical, of course, is make money. And I'm not saying that there aren't medicines that people need, but I also do believe in my heart that there's a lot of cures out there that could be cured. I sometimes wonder myself, is the cure for cancer out there? Well, if it was, and somebody could take a miraculous shot or an injection or a pill or whatever, and it would be gone, there'd be a lot of pharmaceutical companies closing down and shutting off the lights.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. I got a brother-in-law in San Diego, California. He heads up one of the biggest cancer research teams in North America. You should hear the conversations that go on at Christmas time between him and I. So, and I tell him about all these different things. He goes, no, that can't be. So, I told him, I said, you take little petri dishes and you try to make it do something, okay? You want this cell to open and you want different things to happen. He goes, yeah. I said, why don't you write that intent on a piece of paper? Put that petri dish over that piece of paper overnight. Go in the morning and see if it happened. He says, oh, you can't do that. I says, why don't you try it? He says, if I did that, I'd lose my job. So, in a lot of ways, yeah, they don't want to find the cure because all of a sudden they're out of a job. Okay, how many people would lose their jobs if all of a sudden there was a cure for cancer?
Oh yeah, or even the magic diet pill. Imagine that. I mean, there would be a big influx of people buying it. You'd see a spike. But if you could take that magic diet pill, and whether it exists or not, who knows? But imagine all of the Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi and Nutrisystem and all the Slim Fast. I mean. When you go to when you get online and just go to the supermarket and take a look at all the stuff that's offered on the shelves for dieting, it's a big part of business. Let me ask you, Chris, being up in Canada, how what is the medical situation like up there? Of course, here in the United States. We've got Obamacare looming here, and it's in place. And I've tried to read the document and look through some of it, and 2 pages in, and I've had enough because it covers everything from health care to gun control. I mean, it's so massive. But what is the state of the health care up in Canada?
Well, health care isn't too bad. There's a lot, like, we don't pay for health care, so if you need a procedure, it's free. If you need a pharmaceutical, if you have a health plan at your job, it pays for 80% of it or something like that. So that's not too bad, but the wait times are incredible. I hear horror stories every day about how long somebody has to wait, like a year wait to see a specialist because you've got a liver problem or something like that. So that's why a lot of people are looking for alternative means of dealing with a health problem, because the wait is stupid, and then then you have to wait again for a consultation. The wait times are nuts because a lot of the really good specialists are going to Europe or going to the States where there's bigger money because you just don't get paid the money in Canada that they do in other countries.
Right. Yeah, I understand up there also. I actually have an acquaintance. I don't want to call him a friend, a real close friend, but an acquaintance who's a dentist. My understanding is dental cost up there is outrageous, and American dentists are taking trips. Matter of fact, he flies out of Salt Lake up to, I believe, Toronto a couple of times a month, and people for dental care up there just it's off the charts what they pay.
Yeah, most people if you got a job, you've got some kind of health care plan, and dental is included, so you get a couple free cleanings a year, and up to a certain amount of money you can spend on crowns and root canals and stuff like that. Dentists are doing pretty good up here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Again, I know he's on the road quite a bit, flying up to Toronto, and the patient list is there's quite a bit out there. What's the future for Chris? You just going to keep plugging along, doing what you're doing a lot of. Obviously, you're educating people, and again, it's about being open-minded. I know so many of us, Chris, we go through our lives believing one thing and only looking at one solution, and sadly, in the medical field, or in the medical situation, with different people's medical situations, a lot of people sometimes feel that there is no answer, or there's hopelessness, and then a lot of people, they do change. And take a look at alternatives. Just a real quick story. I had a good friend of mine. I have a good friend of mine whose husband, this has gone back now about 12, 13 years ago, who was pretty healthy his whole life. And in September just came down, or what he thought was with the common cold, and boy, he got this cough, and he just couldn't get rid of it, and it was hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, and he was not a guy that was really into going to the doctor too much. He finally went to the doctor because it would not go away. They gave him a few different, antibiotics, cough medicine, what have you. Still didn't go away. Ended up going back. They ran some tests, and they found lung cancer. And due to the extremity of it, just pretty much said, get your paperwork in order, and gave him 3 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. He left the doctor's office, got a couple other opinions, the same thing. Now he left, and he felt pretty hopeless for a couple of weeks, and started doing some research. And he turned to holistic medicine, and what he ended up doing, and I don't know all the details of it, but basically he was concocting a milkshake that looked like something you would scrape out of the bottom of a lawnmower, with different herbs and vegetables and stuff, and he was blending it up, and it was horrible tasting. 12 years later, he is alive today. He refused to take to accept. He didn't want to go through chemotherapy. Matter of fact, they didn't even offer chemo because the cancer was at such an advanced stage. But went with this different type of approach on his own. Figured, what the heck do I got to lose? And like I said, 12, actually going to be 13 years this October. He's still here and feeling fine.
Yeah, I hear stories like that every day. You got to think, what were we doing before there was pharmaceuticals?
Right.
We were eating plants. We were concocting our own mustard plasters and doing all that type of stuff to remove the infection, and it worked. Okay, for the most part, it worked. It worked pretty darn good. And all of a sudden, here come all these pills and antibiotics and everything. So when he's drinking something organic and with whole foods, you're putting enzymes in your body to eat the cancer. What's cancer? Cancer is a fungus. Cancer is a mold. It's something that grows and ferments, okay, for the most part. I'm not saying that's the thing for all cancer. But when you put the right things in your body for your body to heal itself, your body will do it. Give the body the right tool, it'll make the adjustment.
Yeah, well, I think in his case, again, I didn't find out the details, but he essentially went with foods that just on his own merit and his own research, in really the early days of the internet, just did his research through different medical periodicals, and incorporated a lot of organic foods that essentially starved, as he said, it starved the cancer. It's still there, I would assume, but stopped it from being active, stopped its growth and its aggressiveness. And of course, till this day, he still is. He feels that I haven't talked to him lately, but I think he's still kind of drinking the same stuff, and he's eating things too. But, boy, he's taken a totally different approach. Chris, we got to take a final break here to pay the bills at the radio station. Our guest tonight is Chris Kehler, and his website is chriskehler.net. Go check it out. It's about being open-minded. It's an honor to have Chris on the show. We'll be back on the other side of the commercial break. You're listening to K-Talk, KTKK AM 630 in Salt Lake City. We're live on the Inception Radio Network. We'll be right back with Fringe Radio.
Here's the in-your-face reality. You're listening right now. You're listening because the show is compelling, involved radio that's difficult to tune away from. And if you're listening, so are your potential clients and customers. The only thing missing is your commercial calling our listeners to action. Dynamic, affordable growth for your company is a phone call away. 253-4883. When we answer,
thank you for calling K-Talk Radio.
Say,
hi, I'd like to advertise.
We'll take it from there, and you'll love the results. Call K-Talk Radio right now. 253-4883.
Geico presents a thank you letter from your motorcycle.
Hey, I just wanted to say thanks. Ever since you saved money on your motorcycle insurance with Geico, we've been going out a lot more. When we're together, things just work. My pipes rumble, and my engine screams like an eagle. A happy eagle, not one of those angry eagles. You know? Yeah, you know.
Geico could help you save on your motorcycle insurance, and that should make you and your bike very happy.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Fringe Radio Show. Tonight our guest has been Chris Kehler. Is it Keller? Am I pronouncing that right?
It's actually Kehler.
Kehler, okay.
Kehler.
I was way off.
It's an old Mennonite name.
Chris Kehler, and again, the website is Chris Kehler, KEHLER.net. Go check it out.
Make sure if you look on the internet, you don't look at chriskehler.com. That's an accountant, okay? If you go to chriskehler.com, you've gone to the wrong one. There's another one. You go to chriskehler.net, please.
He could fix your accounting problems, but not your health problems. Do you give a lot of talks, Chris? I mean, do you go all over and talk about what you work on, or people pretty much just repeat business and people bringing people in to be open-minded?
Yeah, it's a lot of word of mouth. I mean, a business like this, you really can't advertise it. Especially in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a very conservative city. If it doesn't come with a coupon and a hockey ticket, nobody wants it. But I've been doing a lot of radio shows just like yours, and it really is spreading the word in a big way. The talk radio phenomena is huge. I've done certain radio shows and got clients in Norway, Australia, Germany, Russia. It's just phenomenal the way it's picking up just by doing great shows just like yours. So it's all about getting the word out and educating people that this type of work exists, that it works, that you can have confidence in it, that I'm going to take care of you. Now the way my process works is you phone me, you send me an email, you set up an appointment. An appointment is 1 hour long, and it's only going to cost you $55. Okay.
Gotcha.
I don't take a lot of your money. I pride myself on the fact that I'm not here to take your money. There's a lot of charlatans out there. There's a lot of people who prey on people who are looking for the answer, and you end up spending hundreds of dollars on herbs and supplements and signing up under multi-level marketing schemes and a whole bit. That doesn't happen with me. I'm very professional. I'm very discreet, and my only concern is your health problem.
Well, and solving it too. I mean, you again, this type of, as I've stated, so many of us, for so many years, we get caught in the rut of going to the doctor and taking medicine. And again, I'm not by any means preaching to anybody. If you're taking medicine, don't stop. But if you've got some ailments or some things that are bothering you or affecting you, take a look at this. Be open-minded about these type of things and give them a try. Carla wrote in, just got an email. It says, "Can Chris address diabetes?" And I know we talked a little bit about this earlier in the show. It says, "I'm a borderline diabetic and I'm not sure what to do. I know that after eating a meal, sometimes I feel just terrible, drained. And then she said, and this is after what I call a fairly healthy meal. Skinless chicken, salad with a little vinegar and oil, rice. Now I know rice is high in carbohydrates, and sugar-free, natural iced tea. Is there any suggestions Chris can offer?
Ultimately, just cut all the carbohydrates and sugars out of your diet. Like you said, rice is very high. What's in that iced tea? Okay, is there aspartame in there? Okay, any kind of sugar alternative is going to make the problem worse. So people who are diabetic, they think they can drink all the Diet Coke they want. No, that's not a good thing. Drink water, please. Yeah. But ultimately, if there is a sugar imbalance, like I said, it could be one of many different things that's causing it. If it's just a borderline imbalance, and it's probably something very, very simple, as simple as a virus in your pancreas or something like that, something wrong in your endocrine system where your body isn't processing sugar properly. So, a phone call to me at one appointment would probably do it. But if you just want some advice, knock out all the sugars. Start taking a good multi-mineral. Don't worry about vitamins. Your body creates vitamins when you have the right minerals in your body. So get a good liquid multi-mineral supplement and just start taking that to give your body what it needs to heal itself.
What about fighting depression? I think that's got to be, I would assume that's got to be something that's pretty heavy on your plate, because we've gone through this. Let's be realistic. The past few years have been really tough on a lot of people here in the United States, of course, and I would assume in Canada the same thing. High job losses. People have taken some big cuts in pay. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people won't agree, but money and financial problems play a big part and a big role in people's lives, and especially people with families. How am I going to feed the kids? How am I going to keep a roof over our heads? We see nothing but cut back, and I would say that depression, people suffering with depression, it's got to be a heavy hitter.
You know what? I do see depression on almost a daily basis with quite a few people. Of course, there's people who can deal with this type of thing. You've got bad stuff happening. People can deal with it, but you could have depression because you've lost your job and things are going bad. Of course, you're going to be depressed. You better be, otherwise you're a lifeless person. But then there's severe clinical depression where people have suicidal tendencies and that deep of a depression. And when that is in present, there is always going to be a spiritual attachment. There's always going to be something causing that, something that wants you to take your life or to be depressed and feel low. Can also be a mineral deficiency. If you research different minerals, that some of the symptoms are depression. If you're deficient, then you have to take a supplement. But ultimately, yes, there's going to be some kind of spiritual attachment. Your body needs to learn how to deal with depression, how to deal with stress, how to deal with excess cortisol. You can balance out the cortisol by adding a different mineral to keep it at a certain level. So there are certain things you can do on your own.
Very good. Chris, I've got to wrap up for the night, but I want to thank you again for coming on the show and sharing your and staying up late. I know we were kind of emailing back and forth. Like I said, I was at the as I been on the breaks, we've been involved with the Comic-Con event up here in Salt Lake, and I actually got out of my day started at 6, and I came right to the studio after the event, and I got 2 full days. But I'm glad we were able to hook up, and again, sharing your work. It's been an honor to have you on, and I want to thank you for being here.
Well, you're most welcome, and thank you very much for having me. I hope your listeners have learned a little something today. Open your mind, people. It's out there.
All right, Chris. Hey, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks, Pat.
Take care, my friend. Good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, Chris Kehler. Check out his website, chriskehler.net. Whether you believe or not is up to you. Like I stated just a few minutes ago, if you're on meds, if you're taking medicine for your heart, for diabetes, for whatever it may be, don't stop. But take a look at some alternatives. Sometimes some of these things that we think are crazy, maybe they're not so crazy. Chris offers a lot of different things. Some things I don't want to say I'm skeptical, but I guess I would question. And there's some other things that I wouldn't question that look pretty interesting. And I don't think if it's going to harm you in any way, shape, or form, maybe taking a look at some stuff and some alternatives will help you out. It's just that simple.